Hello and welcome to the Real Talk Podcast with Kelly and Avery. We're your hosts, Kelly Berger and Avery Roberts. We are two rare ladies living with congenital muscular dystrophy, CMD.
The show where we amplify voices, break down barriers, and celebrate the power of disability identity. Whether you're living with a disability, supporting someone who is, or just here to learn, you're in the right place.
Where wit, wisdom, and reels are all part of the party. So sit down with us. We're tearing down stereotypes, one reel at a time.
It's a front row seat to bold conversations and the thriving disabled lifestyle, and we're ready to get gloriously uncomfortable.
Let's get loud, proud, and empowered. Real power, real stories.
We're diving into something that we've wanted to talk about for a while now, and we think it really needs to be addressed and have its own episode. The diagnostic odyssey, that long, confusing, exhausting journey of trying to get answers about your body, your condition, your health, sometimes for years, sometimes without ever really even finding a name. Sounds great, doesn't it?
If only it were that easy,
yeah.
yes.
We know so many people in our community are, navigating this journey, walking this path. They're scared, frustrated, exhausted, sometimes navigating it completely alone. And there's no handbook, no map, no
guide.
Guaranteed guide to make sense of it all. So we wanted to really bring light to it. Just know that what you're experiencing is the experience of many. Kelly and I have gone through it, and hope you feel, validated in that way.
Yeah, we hope you feel a little less alone, and that you're not, misunderstood, that we all have been through this, or some of us are still going through this, Those that are listening may not even have that name or have that diagnosis yet, so maybe this will help you feel a little more seen and heard.
Yeah, that's our intention for today. And if you're, like Kelly said, if you're in the middle of this journey or supporting someone who is, you're absolutely not alone. So I think we should just get into it. Let's break it down. What does, when we say the diagnostic odyssey, what does that actually mean? I think it's a very common term in the rare disease community. But for someone outside of it, I'm sure it's like, what the hell is that?
It sounds like a car report.
Yeah.
Like, here's your diagnostic odyssey.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
what does that even mean? Yeah,
I know.
Sounds like a stack of paperwork. But just in general, it's the roadmap of finding your genetic confirmation, right? To find out what's in the name, what is your makeup, and what's going on, basically. Yeah. So
yeah, I feel like in plain language, it's the long, often unpredictable journey of seeking a diagnosis for a condition that doesn't, fit neatly into a medical box. So it can mean years of tests, expensive testing. I think we should talk about that.
It is not cheap.
No. Conflicting opinions for sure. Repeated, we don't know yet answers, sometimes from multiple specialists. It often takes 7 years on average for people living with rare diseases to get an official, confirmed diagnosis. 7 years. And often longer. That's just the average.
Decades. Yeah, for those that are, super young and were able to get that right away, props to you. That's amazing. Yeah. But I know a lot of us are still in that unknown or had to go years, decades without those answers. And it's such a giant variable, and being that question mark is, it's so uncertain. So we feel you, and we've been there, and we know that road is not easy.
No, it's not, and that's such a good point, Kelly. Like we are seeing right now, from the time that Kelly and I got our diagnoses, um, to now, like what we're seeing with how early babies are getting diagnosed, like we've seen like within 1 to 2 years old, or even less than 1 years old. That is
It's so wild.
insane. It
It's
is
amazing.
insane, but I
Science is
love
so
it.
cool.
Like we love to see it, and it's really good to hear and see that the science is advancing, and those advancements to help people get diagnosed earlier, which then puts them on the path to, the clearly defined precautions, the right specialists earlier. Because often during that diagnostic odyssey, you're kind of at an unknown point of like, one, what the future holds, and two, how to treat it, if anything, right now. And most people end up seeing 5 to 8 physicians, sometimes even more, before getting that clarity. This is so much more common than people realize. It's not, a personal failing. It's just how rare disease is. And, since they're such complex conditions, work.
I think, yeah, it takes a village. It takes an entire care team to, collaborate to get those individual answers for you, and getting a team that really cares and wants those answers is not just um, ordering all these tests just to, you know,
Fun.
for fun, or to write down in their, in their charts and things. And I know it, and for the individual, it's not always a fun journey. It is a lot of poking and prodding, and, sometimes really unpleasant and uncomfortable tasks that could still yield inconclusive results. So it's really not a fun long road we want to be on. And uh yeah, just getting those answers is so reassuring, but it's also, you know, getting there is the hard part. So
Yeah. I think for most, especially if you live with a congenital disease where it's, at or soon after birth, most of everyone's earliest memories, whether you are an affected individual or you're even a parent too, you're being shuffled between doctors. You're not quite fitting into any category. Maybe you're fitting into multiple categories, and it's like, what way do I go? And then you're also constantly hearing conflicting things because you want to get, multiple opinions. You're just trying to find the right one that hits, the nail on the head. But then you also have those conflicting opinions. And I think we all know, whether you live it with a rare disease or not, when you get those second opinions, they're always conflicting, and you're kind of like, well, which one do I go with? I feel like I need a doctor who can help me figure out which one to go with, And so the numbers keep adding up for sure. And some days you feel invisible, and other days, you feel like you're a puzzle that everyone, you know, is trying to solve.
yeah, you need a doctor for your doctor, right? A
Yes,
doctor to keep your other
exactly.
doctor in check, and maybe just to like confirm, validate those
Yeah,
results. Because yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk bad about it, but sometimes they, they're not always right, and they can
for
get
sure.
things wrong. And so
Yeah.
it's good to have those questions and to seek quality care. I think that's important. I know that access to care is not an easy thing. Some people are traveling across state lines or even other countries to get the care with the specialists that can actually serve them the way that they need to be treated. So I think, yeah, just all those childhood memories of being in waiting rooms and seeing this doctor and that doctor and all those things. It's um really is such a core memory for me. I know, trying to make light of it, and to have those fun things added into the more serious things,
Yeah.
when you're going to the hospital or doctors to try to, let's like go have lunch, or like go see a movie or a fun plaything to to kind of offset the heavy undertones and not so fun things that you have to deal with when you're seeking out those answers.
Yeah. I think also for a lot of people, the limbo is what really sticks with us, like the moments where you don't even know kind of what you're supposed to feel or even like what you're supposed to grieve in a way. Not having a name for your condition really shapes your identity in a way. It really shapes your childhood, even your interactions with the medical system. I think it really stems from that too. And we know many listeners are living this right now or have recently lived this or, are listening to this to reflect on their own journey, like just feeling like you're in the in between and caught in uncertainty. Like that is just exhausting, but, like, I don't even know if that's not the word to even encompass it. Like, there is no word to encompass it all and
There are
what
no words.
yeah, what we're all what we all feel. The in between is just emotionally heavy. It's fear, it's grief, it's frustration, and it all piles up too. And I feel like we're always talking about how things are layered, but it is for sure. It's the positives and the negatives, it's the small wins, it's the big fails. It's like that kind of thing. And families often feel unprepared for how disorienting it all is, and I think not to hate on the medical system, which, there are definitely clinicians who are great once you find them. And we're so grateful for them, but the medical system needs to do a better job with preparing the families. There is no roadmap. Um, there is no guide to how you should navigate this before and after that diagnostic odyssey. And often, diagnosis is delivered as if it's a death sentence. What
Yeah, the
what are we doing,
delivery
people?
I
Like,
know, the delivery alone is really life altering. It's something that I've heard time and time again from families that, the way that they were given the news and how they're supposed to, the steps beyond that, it's just like you get a name and then you don't even know what that means. And you doom scroll and you Google and you find the worst things about it. And there's no like correct, great way to really be handed that. And yeah, it's rough out there for a lot. And I sympathize because I think once you do get that name, like you're also like, well, I've never met anybody like with that condition. I've never heard of it. Or what does that look like? I just feel like there should definitely be better ways of trying to prepare the individual and the family both for what their life could look like.
for sure. I think also some interactions with doctors can create trauma. Like we were saying, like a lot of people say that they've, experienced PTSD in a way from that delivery, rather than the clarity that they should be getting. And as disabled adults, we often carry those early experiences with us throughout our life, shaping how we approach healthcare and community later in life. And that's why it's so important to validate these experiences and like the uncertainty are, it's not signs of weakness. It's, a natural response to a system that often fails you in a way. And, we know that rare diseases are very complex and that not everybody can, not everybody can know every single thing about every single disease. We get that. I heard once that someone said that's why they call it practicing medicine because not everybody knows kind of every single disease, which, whatever. I don't want to give them the benefit of the doubt,
That's all
but
right. You're not a robot. You don't know this. Yeah.
yeah. But there's the pressure too, like the pressure to have a name, to feel legitimate, to understand yourself when the medical world gives you very little guidance.
Yeah, I think too, when you're mentioning about just shaping from our childhood, I know I still like get anxiety going to certain hospitals and certain, clinical appointments. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's just, it can be really triggering. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I relate to you in that sense.
I feel like it's
'Cause they
also
don't warn you. It's just like you go in one day
exactly.
and it's like, oh, we're doing this test. Oh, these results are this. And it's like, you just it changes your day, your week,
Yeah.
your month, your year, like, it's
Your
really
future,
they
really.
don't warn you.
No.
No disclaimers
Um,
there.
and they yeah, they don't, um, deliver it in a way that is comprehensible, and then also it's the post delivery of, what the future holds. Like, again, it's often given as a death sentence, but then people find their community and resources, and hopefully this resource, the podcast, serves as one. That's all that Kelly and I could hope for.
Yes.
And but they don't do a good job with handing those over, or they're not even educated themselves on those resources. And I think also access is tied to privilege, like who can afford genetic panels, who can see multiple specialists, who has time and resources to advocate for themselves. Also, going back to the genetic panels, I always like families and affected individuals to know that you need to get genetically confirmed to be eligible for future treatments and clinical trials. I think that's something that's not very known in the community, and I think that goes for people even outside of the CMD community, like just in the rare disease community in general. I know that when I learned that, is I did not know that, and so luckily, Kelly and I are genetically confirmed, but there are some people who aren't. Some tests can be incredibly expensive, which I think is something that we should talk about next, Kelly. But um, Kelly and I also know roundabout ways that you can get tests, sent to your home, or there are, easier, more seamless ways to get genetically confirmed. I believe they're also free. So if you're going through that, or if you're hearing this and are like, oh, I don't think I'm genetically confirmed, or, maybe even check back with your doctors or your genetic records, your medical records, and just kind of double check that, because that's definitely a huge step. But also, please feel free to reach out to Kelly and I if you have any questions. We have, connections to the medical world. If you have any questions, I mean, Kelly and I always say we ain't no doctors for sure, but if we can help people navigate that, we absolutely want to. And so that was just something I wanted to touch on. If we can share those resources, maybe I'll even link them in the show notes so that people can check it out. Because I think often it's like, oh my God, this testing is so expensive, or it's so timely, or it's a huge burden. But it doesn't have to be, and we know of those um resources out there. So I just want to mention that. Um, but I think also there is such a stigma in a way connected to the diagnostic odyssey of people needing a label. Like that's what it is. All you're really waiting for is a label.
Name, I know.
And it
It's
feels like,
all this build up for
yeah, it feels
for
like
that.
people can't thrive without a neat, label. Um, but you can live fully. You need to advocate for yourself, build community, and really define your life on your terms.
Yeah, I think that, if you're not awarded the opportunity to be given a label, like, create your own label for what that means. Not that that's, again, medical advice here. Take it your own defense, but, like, I think you ultimately define what that means. and
Yeah.
what your life looks like. So, um, although you have XYZ, that shouldn't minimize or hold you back in any way.
Yeah. Some people will never get a definitive label. And that doesn't make them, any less than. It just what makes them less is being dismissed, minimized, or, even left unsupported. Um, but I feel like this is truth. I think the truth is disability identity can exist outside of of medical language in a way. So I think finding community is really critical, especially when the medical world falls short. So like lived experience and shared understanding, that's where I feel like the identity and the resources really grows.
Yeah, I think you can still thrive without those answers. I did for many, many years of my life, not having conclusive results. Um, in a way, I don't know if I can also, I feel like I'm not going with the word right now, but like it can fuel you to, even though you don't
Drive
have
you?
that,
Yeah.
yeah, drive you. There you go. Can drive you. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's important. We want to encourage you to get those answers and to get genetically confirmed, but it's also not the end all be all for your journey. You can still, you know, thrive without that.
Right. And I think a lot of people also often get misdiagnosed before they get their official diagnosis. Kelly, do you want to talk on that a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that obviously the science and research have improved significantly since, back in my day. But I mean, I know that I'm not the only one I know people have had multiple misdiagnoses, but it's one of those things where I feel like if you aren't seeing it, that your team that really, gets wants to get those answers for you, they can kind of sometimes, like Avery said, dismiss you or give you what's called like a blanket diagnosis. So like just a more general or common form of whatever to kind of suit or just to mark down for what's in your chart, just to, oh yeah, we'll just call it this, or we'll just print down as that. So um that's basically that I dealt with for a while until I really got someone that really cared, and we got those answers and dug deeper into my genetic testing and found out that, oh wait, that wasn't correct, and no, you actually have this. I said, definitely don't be afraid to speak up if you're not getting the answers that you want, and try to get a team that's really behind you and cares deeply to want to get that for you, because everybody is deserving of that.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. Um, I feel like we should talk about what's like one thing or multiple things we wish, our younger selves or our selves back then during that diagnostic odyssey, what we wish, we could tell them. Um, Kelly, do you want to go first?
Oh, I feel like that's hard. I feel like there's so many things now. It seems like such a lifetime ago. I just think that, yeah, I see myself now that like anything is possible. I know that sounds cheesy, and we say that a lot, but I feel like once you're given, the horrible news of, oh my gosh, you have this, that you just think that you can't do all the things in life, and I think that you can still do it. It just looks different, right? You just do it in a different way, or you find a way to do it and make it happen still. So I think that I would just want to tell myself like, you're gonna still do all the awesome things that you want to do, and it's gonna look different, but it's gonna all like be okay if you work at it and want it hard enough. You just
Yeah,
have to work harder for it.
yeah. I think looking back, I wish I could tell my younger self that it's okay not to have all the answers, that, your feelings are valid, even if doctors don't provide clarity. Um, I wish families had more guidance too, support, resources, representation, and community. and just those connections, it would have made a huge difference, not to feel so isolated and alone in the journey. And I wish doctors approached us with more care and honesty, instead of, fear or even like rushed assumptions. And I think like podcasts like this one, or even like networks and just, social media is huge right now. Those resources to build that community, these are tools that we hope families have, because, you deserve all the support and it's never too late to find it. So to anyone navigating the in between right now, you are absolutely not alone. Your experience is valid, whether or not you have a name. A diagnosis doesn't define your worth, your truth, or your impact. Uncertainty doesn't make you, less disabled or less valid. Um, or even more disabled. You deserve support, community, um, and just, the in between is hard. Let's face it. But you're doing better than you think. And I'm sure you're also doing everything that you can. I think that's often something felt that like, am I doing enough? And I think that um you are. So just know that.
Love that, and definitely know that just because, your belonging, it doesn't depend on a label. You can still identify with the community and identify with the disabled community without that, diagnostic label. So that's okay too. Just know that you're doing it right. It's okay to still be
Yeah,
here.
exactly. And please share your own diagnostic odyssey journey and experiences with us. Please reach out, please connect. We're here. We want to hear from you. We want to, connect with others in our community, especially if we can help in any way or support in any way. So please don't hesitate to reach out in any way. And we're here and we, are cheering you on as
You
well.
got
And
this. You're doing
yes,
great. You got this.
you're doing your best in a world that's often unprepared for us.
They
Um,
ain't ready. They not
yeah,
ready.
yeah, and that's enough. Thank you so much for tuning in to this inclusive space where disability radiates and every listen helps amplify disabled voices that deserve to be heard. We're so grateful you're on this journey with us.
We share real stories, honest conversations, and expert insights that challenge misconceptions. Because disability doesn't define us, it's just a different way of experiencing the world.
Your support keeps this beautifully disabled, slightly chaotic show rolling.
You are truly the real MVPs. We have power, real stories.